welcome to Tremco Live, where we're socially distant but technically connected. I am Marcy Tyler, the Director of Building Science and one of your hosts for Tremco Live. I am joined by my co-host.
I'm Paul Hugenboom. I'm the president of the what's my president of Marcy?
You're president of a lot of things, a lot of companies, lots of brands, lots of people.
Tremco Construction Products Group, which is a fine collection globally of companies, brands, products, systems, and of course, most of all, people.
Most of all people. I think Paul's a little off today because it's so sunny today.
Oh my God. We've commented on that routinely that we can go really 5-6 months and see no sun here in Cleveland, Marcy, and we've had quite a bit of sun this year. So
and today is one of those especially sunny days. Well, welcome everybody to Tremco Live. We're so happy and feel fortunate to be able to represent so many different people from our company and of course the industry. As always, we love to bring to you specific themes, specific topics, design challenges, and we'll do a review at some point, maybe for our 50th episode.
wow, okay.
I believe today is 40th.
All right. It's an L like in Super Bowl speak.
Yeah, well, we should do that. We'll have Super Bowl speak instead. That'll be funny. So. But yeah, as always, we're so excited to have everybody here. The month of February's theme, if you didn't know it, is We Love Education. I love heart-themed things because my birthday's on Sunday. So. Oh, really? I'm a Valentine gal, so I love the heart themes. Oh my goodness, I can't. We're having problems today. I love heart-themed things, and of course, we love education. So we're working on a variety of different types of educational outreach programs. We have a lot of continuing education. We have online videos, but we know there's a big need for this type of engagement for not only new people entering this industry, but we all are well aware of the shortage of labor.
Yeah, and I think Marcy, the other thing is continuing education. So. I always think of that as, we use a lot of times we'll use phase A, B, C, D to denote how we train somebody that comes in, but I always think phase F is for forever. And yeah. There's a real need for continuing education just because I think the rate of change and our new products and systems come at a rapid clip. So we're never done.
We're never done, exactly. And I think that's an important thing to think about too, as we are also approaching where a lot of people in our industry are retiring. We don't want to lose that knowledge that they do have. So any way that if you are thinking about retiring, is there a way that you can share that knowledge with somebody else? I always tease people when Susan over in tech service would ask me a question, she'd be like, where's that answer? And I'd say, it's here. Yeah. So we need to take an effort to make sure we're learning from those craftsmen, the skilled laborers, and our coworkers that might be retiring with some of that knowledge.
Yeah, and I think the example you just gave, we do a lot of mentoring, right, where we have teams and pairings of very experienced senior and then more junior members, and I think that the more we learn, the more we know that mentoring relationship is just critical.
Absolutely, very, very critical. If for those of you that know me very well, I just wanted to tell you guys, SWRI interviewed me, and it's called 5 Minutes with Marcy. And for those of you that know me, it was probably more than 5 minutes. But what a point I made in there, and it truly is something that I really am supporting of, is if there's some knowledge base that you have and you don't have the means to be able to share it, I put that out there as that I will help you with that. So whether it's helping you put together a webinar or giving you the platform to be able to present your knowledge, not only through Tremco Live, but we've got a lot of other ways that we can do that. So with that, we have a polling question for all of you. So I'm going to pull that up right now. This polling question is a call to action. So let's get that up there on screen for you all to vote. So it's a call to action. What do you feel like you can do to help with this growing labor shortage that we have in our industry? Can you get involved? You may already be a member of an association, but maybe you can join a new one or get more active at the industry association that you are working with. Maybe you can propose a training program to your company or your association. You could, if you're a distributor, maybe you want to provide space for those training opportunities. And then that last one there is my offering up my assistance. If you have an idea, let's talk about what we can do together. So if you guys could start answering that polling question, and this time I made sure if you're really excited and you want to hit all 4, you can. So you can choose more than one. So I know, Paul, you and I talk a lot about different levels and different ways to train, educate, and I know just Tremco Live alone is something that is very near and dear to you because you always have loved that engagement with our customers.
I do, and I missed the in-person, of course, where it was really a two-way process. This is a little bit more of a one-way process, but yeah, the ability to just sit and absorb and learn and listen. And I think the other thing we always enjoyed in person was body language. So you could, somebody was frowning and sort of told you like either you were on the wrong track or perhaps there was a gap.
Yeah, so we definitely want to encourage, we like doing these polling questions to get some feedback from all of you, give us a chance to interact with you. So we'll go ahead and share that polling question right now up on screen. But you can always send a question too. So I don't know if we've been using our question area as well as we could be. So if there's something we're talking about that is of interest to you and you want to make a comment or a question, please always put that in your chat box. It'd be interesting, you know, like when you go live, Paul, you might not know this, but live on Facebook, you can send up little smiley faces or thumbs up or hearts. So it'd be interesting, you know, to get some sort of reaction if something, you know, wasn't going right or, you know, that body language of somehow.
I could send you a happy birthday.
You can send me a happy birthday. That would work too. That would work too. So thanks for everyone that was able to contribute to our polling question. We did close it, but as always, if there's something you want specifically, you can always reach out directly to me. But I'm so glad we've got a lot of different responses here. So it looks like a lot of those industry organizations are going to get some calls from our viewers. Maybe, you know, some of our distributors are going to open up and to our distributors, think about that too. You know, if there's something specific that you want some additional help with, that's what we're here for, of course. I had some great meetings this week with our regional managers talking just about that. You know, what about this labor shortage and how do we continue to educate the industry? And I know we've got a lot of great things coming up. We'll talk more about it in the next couple of weeks. But specifically today, we have a great friend of mine in the industry is going to join us and talk to us about the industry organization that he represents and works with and all the great work that they're doing to educate the industry. So welcome to Tremco Live, Jeff.
Hello from Chicago, gloomy Chicago. I hear the sun is out where you're at. So first of all, thank you, Paul, Marcy at Tremco for the invite. Thank you.
Yeah. We're very excited to have you here today. So our theme this month, as you know, is We Love Education. So I thought it was appropriate for us to bring you on and have you let us know all about your organization. But before we do that, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, Jeff DeQuee? What about you? What's your experience in it?
Yeah, well, Jeff DeQuee, born and raised in Michigan, reside in Chicago, but went to engineering school. So my background is architectural engineering by education, and made my way into structural design in the early 90s and started to see this opportunity for following water, chasing water, being smarter than water. And so got into the forensics world, and then made an opportunity, a job opportunity, and worked for a manufacturer for, what is it, about 7-8 years, doing some international work. And then this opportunity with the International Masonry Institute kind of came knocking at the door, and it was a great opportunity I couldn't refuse. So, and I'm in a technical director role.
That's I like how you phrase that, chasing water, following the water. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and as you've taught me, Marcy, the water is often found a long ways from where it came in.
Yes, it can. Sometimes that water has quite a journey, right? It's taken quite a distance to get to where it ends up. So Paul's a really good student of mine. I would give him an A+. Okay. He's a good listener. So Jeff, I know you prepared some information for us, so we'd love for you to share that with us right now and all the great work that the IMI does on a regular basis.
Okay, awesome. I'm assuming you can see my slides.
Yes.
Yes, all right. Okay, well, good. Well, happy birthday, first and foremost. So, yeah, I didn't know you were a Valentine's birthday girl, so congrats. So, So this is who I am, Director of Technical with the International Masonry Institute, and I'll go through a list of services and kind of the organizational web that we're all associated with, and a little bit about who we are, what we do. As mentioned, I'm located in Chicago. And this is I remember when I first started, gosh, this is Marcy, this is back in 2017. I think had you and I believe maybe Dante come in. We were bringing in a team of architects and general contractors, and we gave Tremco a wall to throw products on, back in 2017.
That was a great opportunity. A lot of up and comers new to the industry, and really be able to teach them. So it was a great opportunity. We're excited to be a part of that.
Yeah, yes.
They have there, right? It's really a really well laid out space to be able to do this type of hands-on.
So what you're seeing here is the training center portion. There's an office that's off the panoramic here, and I believe we had you with your mock-up in this area, and I remember you saying, wow, what a playground. And we routinely get that comment whenever we bring in. We do a lot of industry education for the AEC community owner groups, so this is kind of laying it out. There's rain screen training that happens. There's masonry, brick and block. There's a whole host of rain screens around here. This is what we call the PCC, pointing, cleaning, caulking, as they say in the masonry world. So that's where all the restoration occurs. And then back in this door back here, there's a whole segment for tile, terrazzo, marble. Plaster used to be housed in there. Now that's in a building down the road. What I'm standing up here is the classroom. There's several classrooms in this for students to come through. There's welding, a whole bunch of trades. So that's one of many of these located throughout the country, and I'll pull up a map in a bit, but this is our headquarters, national headquarters, where it's also a conference and training center. There's multiple buildings on this campus. This building you're looking at right here, this is where the cafeteria is, but this is all dormitories where students come in. So they'll come in and stay for whatever the duration of the curriculum is.
That's great. I didn't realize you had that capability as well. That's great so you can really have, it's like a mini college, right, of courses and overnight stay. And as we always like to, the camaraderie and that, connectivity that you would get even when the classes have ended.
Yeah, Jeff, is networking a big part of when you bring people together?
Yeah, I'll show you a slide coming up where we'll do what we call a Masonry Camp. It used to be on an island up in the Northeast, but we started to bring them down to our headquarters outside of DC. So I'll show you a slide and allude to that as well. So, well, this is a common question we get as an organization, who we are and what we do. Even people that know who IMI, International Masonry Institute, they really don't understand the organizational structure. So I just put a couple slides to lay that out. And then there's, times where we get people, gosh, I wish I would have known you decades ago, because we're kind of a best kept hidden secret as far as complementary resources for architects, engineers, general contractors. So there's two sides of our organization. They kind of get lumped under the IMI umbrella, but I'm on this side, technically speaking, where these are two core services, technical service and a lot of industry, grassroots education, outreach, and then we'll provide that technical service on a project basis. And then the other side of the organization, this is kind of more of the lion's share, and again, it falls under that umbrella IMI, but it's really, if you ever hear the acronym IMTEF, that's the International Masonry Training and Education Foundation. So this is where the craft workers are trained, right? So if there are any architects on the call here, these are the people that are, building, your design. And so under this IMTEF, organization, we kind of call this a sister organization. This is where they get into, well, by the way, there's, 60 plus of these conference and training centers. I just showed you two of them, one in Chicago and one in our headquarters in DC. But this is where the students come in. They may be pre-job apprentices, as they call them, before they get onto a job site, versus an apprentice where they're going through 3.5, 4+ years of schooling to getting, the next level, which is a journey level of training. So you can see the different crafts here that we handle. It's kind of what they say, the best hands in the business, or the trowel trades, from conventional brick and block, stone and marble, restoration, as I alluded to, that was that PCC, pointing, cleaning, caulking. And then as the industry evolves, you get into back ventilated range screens, adhered masonry veneers, plaster, which I know Tremco is part of, and you can see various other, refractory, there's a lot of safety training that goes on behind the scenes. Imagine being stuck into a chimney, out of a steel mill and laying masonry within a refractory. So that gives a little overview.
And I talking to when Jeff was showing me some of these slides, I mentioned Rob Little, and he goes, "Oh, I know Rob," and from Little Construction and all the plastering work that he's done and that he featured. So he was interested that you were like, "Oh, I know Rob." So
yeah. So let's just go back here. So once people become go through this apprenticeship program, then they are members of what they call the BAC, the bricklayers and allied craft workers. And we're that allied craft workers because it's beyond that term bricklayer, right? There's all those various crafts. So that's where you kind of get this this triangular relationship, this alliance between these three organizations. So hopefully for those that didn't understand the background, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yep.
Now, I'll shift gears into kind of what I do and my colleagues. So I'm a staff engineer that's part of a team of other engineers we have. We have architects and construction managers on this IMI side that, core focus is technical services and, education. So this is just kind of a laundry list. This is an event we had back in 2017 out of Chicago on back ventilated rain screen systems. So not only IMI staff, but then I brought in this guest speaker here, Chris Schumacher. For those that know RDH, pretty well known and heavily involved in a lot of research. So we had 200, 250 people at this event, packed them in like sardines. And so there was some, education, and then we coordinated having, I forget how many different manufacturers of rain screen assemblies, whether they were subframing systems or here's a full system. This particular project was a porcelain tile that was installed in Chicago. So we had a lot of mock-ups at this event as well. So we'll do routinely events like that. And then we would always have webinars. They weren't at the frequency that they were pre-COVID, but now we're doing 2-3 a week with, for, in this case, this one's showing design professionals. So anybody that's interested in getting some education, you go to the website and you can see under design professionals.
great.
And this is probably one of the more popular things we do is hands-on material workshops. And we'll bring in strategic architects, engineers, or we'll work with like the Structural Engineers Association of Illinois, and we'll have a masonry day for structural engineers. We'll do them for general contractors, whether it's professional development for new staff, or it's bringing in pre-con groups or estimators, project managers that are more seasoned. And so we'll customize programs for them through, education, hands-on material, or we'll bring in students. So we annually do, this is Illinois Institute of Technology. I think this is a third-year architecture student group that we bring in. So we, I can't tell you, when I'm at architects' offices doing presentations, we routinely say, I was at, doing a workshop at your facility, back, 10 years ago. So it's amazing how many people funnel through our doors. And you guys would recognize this product right here. I'm also the Building Enclosure Council Program Director out of Chicago here. Actually just got off of our monthly webinar. And so wear two hats. It's with IMI BEC, and then we teamed up with ABBA. And at our training center, we did a 2-day air barrier rodeo, 1 day of all classroom session, and this is day 2, where we had 11 different manufacturers. What we did is we had them install the materials. We encouraged them to show as many materials as possible and accessories, and pre-install that the week prior to the event, and they can see the plethora of materials, and then use that as part of the pre-install meeting that they would have with a team that we selected. We'd have a GC on the team, a consultant, an architect, an owner, and let them on the second side of that install the materials. So that was a pretty successful event.
It was great. Back to what Paul always likes to mention is that cooperation and collaboration, right, with the whole design team. So that's right there in front of you. I think that's when Dante and I came out and prepped some stuff, and we did like a list of like, here's the things to look for, so that when everyone was there, that it was really clear as to what those things that they need to be looking for from an installation perspective.
And I think the other thing we find a lot, Marcy, is that people usually don't go hands-on, especially architects and engineers, maybe on the design side, love to go hands-on.
Yeah.
So these are great workshops.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, and I just realized in the photo, this is, some people would recognize her. She's the co-chair of the technical committee with ABBA.
Oh, okay. Is it
Yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah, it is. That's Sarah.
Ah.
So, and this was just recent, prior to, was it last year? You know, with Jenny, we do a lot of work with them, and they flew in, I don't know, about 50 of their staff, and, you know, came in for a day event, and we had, this was restoration theme, and we set up various workstations to allow the people that are restoring these buildings, you know, that are specifying, detailing them, getting out and doing job site assessments and job site observations, but maybe they haven't put in a patch into stone, let's say, and how it works around anchorage. So this allowed them to have some hands-on material, and you can see them doing some glazing repairs and matching, you know, so you become artists as well when you get into the trades. So, and, you know, if there's new technologies, things like that, and I've been doing or not I, because it takes a team, a village to make these things happen, but annually we'll do something with Landmarks Illinois. Speaking of 50 earlier, this is their 50th anniversary. So 1 year we did laser cleaning, or just masonry cleaning in general, and then we did some demonstrations with laser cleaning. This is showing slaking lime, right? A lot of older buildings use more lime-based mortar, so you got to be very careful of using today's materials on older buildings. Last year we had a theme of historic preservation related to ornamental plaster and tile and mosaics. And then actually next week, we're going to be doing it virtually, but it's good. The theme is going to be terracotta around, if anybody in the Chicago area knows the old Cook County Hospital. As you can see, here's a photo. That's myself right there. So we're doing an all-day theme there, and we'll do demonstrations on patching terracotta, glaze repairs. We'll have a mock-up very similar to this, how they remove units, reset them, anchor them, integrate flashing in, even though back in the day they didn't have water management systems, but we're trying to protect those steel elements.
That's great. So that'll be a virtual engagement that you guys are organizing?
Yep, a virtual engagement. So what we did is we did a recent tour of our training center through CSI Chicago, and it worked very seamlessly, got rave reviews. So this time of year is usually when we do the Landmarks event, and we said, well, you know, let's do it virtually this year. So that will take place next week. And then now this is getting into new designs. We're talking about restoration, you know, masonry assemblies, or let's say the veneer in this case, you know, has a traditional look, right? So we're always trying to show them inspirational options, right? You see some of this trends come out of Europe, and so, well, let's take a an architect and build it, and let's let them get creative. So we do a lot of these, try to promote that, and this is just one example of Perkins and Will. And I just heard from one of my colleagues, I think one of their projects out in Boston was on architectural record as a result of some hands-on workshops we did with them, from what I'm understanding. So these are some of the things that we like architects to think outside the box. And I know some firms have these philosophies, right? They want to be more contemporary in nature. So this particular project just won, we have an annual award where we give out $30,000 to winners, and this just won what we call the JBC Awards, this particular project. And, you know, Paul, you mentioned this. This is where I mentioned Masonry Camp. So we do this annually. Gosh, it's been going on for 20 plus years now. And literally, I will get comments, hey, I was a former Masonry camper. We have some staff that were former Masonry campers back in maybe the late 80s, early 90s. So this is where we will pair up craft workers and a designer, and we'll form teams, and it's a design competition. And so that you can see them working on designs, and then they'll collaborate with the, you know, the craft workers. So it's a great team effort. And we'll bring in, you know, coaches, guest speakers. Many people probably know the world-renowned Jeannie Gang. She's very instrumental in Masonry Camp. Here's, I believe, Stephen Ayers is now retired, is from architect at the Capitol, but just kind of give you a sense of who partakes in this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we do services such as drawing and specification reviews. You know, we do detail support, mock-up reviews. So this is a project just a couple weeks ago. This is an auditorium, this is a rendering, but a lot of compound curvature of the masonry. It was architectural in nature. There was acoustical benefits, durability benefits. There's going to be a structural wall, a lot of rotation of the units. So there was a lot of challenges, and they're trying to balance a lot of these factors, including cost and constructability. So we brought in the whole AEC team. So we had the architects team, the engineering team, the general contractor, the mason contractor, and built the wall. And it resolved a lot of challenges that, you know, there was a lot of iterations going on. So this is why we offered this up. So these are some of the support services. Here's another example. This was out of our facility, our office in Ohio, where we teamed up with Tremco and WJE and installed this mock-up. And here's Dante, if he's somewhere on the call here. And this was an example of, you know, working out detailing at saddle flashing, right? And all the different coordination that needs to happen, compatibility challenges, and all the interface details.
Well, I think just hearing all that we have going on here, I bet Paul's going to fill my ear with some ideas he has for us to work. I think he's got a few already that I'll be calling you out for sure.
Yeah. So I'm a structural engineer, didn't have any masonry design in college. And so we as an organization is trying to fill that gap with a lot of education to other structural engineers on effective and efficient masonry design. And then we'll help out on projects. So these are complementary support services we provide to the industry. Just did a drawing review today for one of the general contractors, big general contractor, Power Construction in Chicago, to provide some support services. Actually was just on a job site Monday with them, being part of a pre-con meeting as well. So we have a lot of resources to the architects, engineers. We have what we call a masonry detailing series, you know, whether it's new construction, as you can see here, whether that's restoration of existing masonry buildings, whether that's tile. So there's a whole host of details. You know, some may get outdated at times. We're trying to keep them fresh, updated to how industry changes, right? So then we get involved in software design tools. There was some lagging software out there for building information modeling tools. So we've developed some free plugins as part of an industry. So this is a great resource if anybody's on the call that could benefit from these. Here's one that's a paid version, but it's very valuable to avoid having to increase costs of masonry assemblies because of cutting around windows, doors, control joints, etc. And what these tools also do is it ties into, getting, innovative with masonry, right? It allows them to do virtual mock-ups before building a mock-up. I thought I'd throw this little plug in here. This is a project one of my colleagues got involved in out of Ohio with a lot of changes in plane and bond patterns of this particular project.
Great free applied that you might already have.
See that? So, and then there's this alignment with technology that's coming around the pipeline, right? So we talk about the software and then the hardware, right? To maybe start allowing to do projects like this a little more easier, right? I mean, obviously there's a lot of skill in there, and there's going to be skill still when you have technology, right? Programming the software to make that happen. So now that was the IMI. This is the other side of the organization that I mentioned, MTEF, that does the craft worker training, for all the various crafts, as I alluded to earlier. So let me just pick one to give you the audience an example here on restoration. So there's a curriculum program we call the Hmpc, Historic Masonry Preservation Certificate Program. And just kind of give you an example of the amount of schooling. So first of all, they'll go through, once they enter the school, if it didn't start off as a pre-job apprentice, once they get the apprenticeship status, then they'll have maybe 3.5, 4 years of schooling while they're on the job, right? And then at that point, they get their journeyman status. And they will, in order to sit for this program, you have to have 5 years of journey worker status. So that's about 9 years of experience as a prerequisite to sit for this 50-hour program. There's written exam, there's grading of the hands-on work to understand their level of skill. So there's a classroom session. Really what this is trying to understand the core fundamentals of why certain materials are used, why consultants do what they do. So it's just not a matter of putting a mortar in a mortar joint, right? They understand why they're doing it this way, how buildings have evolved from, building technology, from mass masonry walls to transitional steel and masonry to cavity wall construction and the water management principles. So there's an understanding, because when you get into these older buildings, it's, the consultant's not always on the job site. It's the craft worker. They're going to be the eyes, to the consultants. So if they see something that's unforeseeable, they can throw a red flag to it. And then there's the importance of hands-on modules, right? One of the popular ones is stone carving, bringing in master stone carvers, from Europe. This gentleman, I believe he's from Germany. And the whole point of this, if you can tell what's going on here, is that you can see how the masonry is deteriorating in front of our eyes. Is that, these historic buildings, we can't afford to lose them, and therefore, whether it's the designer or the craft worker doing things, because you only get one chance to repair these, and you'll routinely see people doing inappropriate things with mortar, for example, and not understanding how these buildings evolved and these materials have evolved. So that's what we're trying to avoid, and having skills.
It's interesting that you brought that up. We talk a lot about maintenance, right? And if we took care of our buildings as like we take care of our cars, I think we'd all be in a much better situation, right? Because we're not giving that building the maintenance and the attention that it deserves for it to continue to perform. So excellent information up there today. Jeff, so much great information that you've been able to share. Is there any single takeaway that you want to share before we close for today, or any single point you want to bring up for people to be able to come and engage with IMI?
Yeah. I think I have a slide here. As far as any design professionals, raise the bar as far as the quality of workmanship, right? So there's a whole host of training curriculum that you can leverage for that. And to get an appreciation of keeping the skill alive, this is a great video on this website to go to, and I think you'll have a different appreciation for, if you already haven't, of the craft worker. So with that.
That's awesome. That's great. Jeff, so much great information. Thank you so much. So everyone, please check out that video that Jeff is featuring up there to really understand the skills of the craft worker, and check out IMI. I know we'll be reaching out to you because I mentioned a couple ideas I had yesterday, and I'm sure Paul's going to tell them.
Yeah, I'll have a few more.
Paul's got a few more ideas, so I think we'll be working together again real soon here. But thank you so much for being able to be a part of it today. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all the great work you do for the industry, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jeff.
Thanks, Paul and Marcy. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Wow, lots of great information there.
Yeah, that was an eyeful, and we saw he skipped a few slides
We
at
did
the
skip
end, so
a few.
we'll have to have Jeff back.
Yeah, we will. We'll have to have part 2 with IMI. So I know they're continuing to do work even during the pandemic, being socially distant. So you could see a few of the classes they were having with masks on and stuff. So, and of course, attacking things in a virtual world just like we are.
Yeah, what an incredible resource, as he mentioned, to really raise up the industry.
I like the way he chose to end, to close with that, and then to also bring it back to the skilled craftsman.
Yep.
So that's great. So call to action, as always, I'm so appreciative that you guys are here today. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. I'll check out your responses in terms of things that we want to do together. As I mentioned, check out the IMI website for sure to see what you might be able to do for that organization. So as we continue, Paul, in the month of February, I Love Education. We got 2 more Fridays. Next Friday, we're going to talk to you about testing of structures as it relates to fire.
Okay.
So we're going to have another colleague on in the industry talking about that, and then we'll close off the month bringing it all together with building commissioning.
All right. And next week, you'll be a year older. So there you go.
That's awesome. That's great. Thanks, everybody, again, for your time and attention. Have a wonderful, safe weekend.
Yep. See you next week.
Thanks.